the workshop hummed with the faint rhythmic tick-tock of countless clocks, a symphony of time that Elias, the solitary watchmaker, knew intimately. Yet, amidst this chorus, one silence reigned supreme, the stillness of a particular pocket watch nestled carefully on his workbench. It was an antique, its silver casing dulled by age and countless examinations, its hands frozen at precisely 3:17 p.m. For Elias, this stopped watch was not merely a broken timepiece. It was the echo of a lost world, a constant, tangible reminder of a past that haunted his every waking moment. His life, once vibrant and full, had narrowed to the meticulous study of its mechanisms, a desperate, unwavering belief that within its silent gears lay the key to understanding a tragedy that had shattered his existence. He often found himself drifting back, his calloused fingers tracing the cool metal, to memories of Lily, his daughter. Her spirit had been a whirlwind of laughter and insatiable curiosity, a bright spark that illuminated his quiet world. He remembered her vibrant red hair, always slightly disheveled from some grand adventure, and her eyes wide with wonder at the smallest insect or the tallest tree. The watch itself had been a gift, a symbol of his enduring love, presented to her on her 10th birthday. He had chosen it with such care, a delicate, intricate piece, and had it engraved with a simple, heartfelt message. To my dearest Lily, may your time always be filled with joy. Love, Papa. The words, now worn smooth by time, were still visible, a testament to a love that transcended even the cruelest twist of fate. The last day they spent together replayed in his mind with agonizing clarity. A picnic in the meadows, the sun warm on their faces, the scent of wildflowers heavy in the air. Lily, ever the adventurer, had spotted a particularly bright butterfly and, with a joyful squeal, had darted off, her laughter echoing behind her. "Catch me if you can, Papa," she had called, her voice a melody carried on the breeze. Elias, indulging her playful spirit, had followed, a smile on his face as he watched her dance through the tall grass. He had looked away for a fleeting second, his gaze drawn by a distant bird, a momentary lapse that would forever define his life. When he turned back, the meadow was empty. Lily was gone. Panic, cold and sharp, had seized him. He had called her name, his voice growing hoarse, the initial playfulness replaced by a mounting terror. He searched frantically, his heart pounding against his ribs, every rustle of leaves, every shadow, a false hope. The police investigation that followed yielded nothing but dead ends, a cruel cycle of questions without answers, theories without proof. Weeks later, the watch had been found by a hiker, lying innocently near the edge of the very meadow where Lily had vanished. Its hands were frozen at 3:17 p.m., a chilling testament to the exact moment his world had shattered. Since then, Elias had become a ghost in his own life, his workshop a sanctuary from the pitying glances and hushed whispers of the community. He believed, with an unwavering conviction that bordered on obsession, that the watch held the secret to Lily's fate. He meticulously studied its tiny gears, its delicate springs, searching for a hidden message, a clue that everyone else had missed. He dismantled it, reassembled it, peered at it through magnifying lenses, his eyes straining for any anomaly. And then, one quiet evening, as the last rays of sunlight filtered through his workshop window, he noticed it, a faint, almost imperceptible scratch on the watch's silver casing near the engraving. It was so subtle, so easily overlooked, yet it didn't look like an accidental mark. As he tilted the watch, catching the light just so, he realized it wasn't a scratch at all. It was a cryptic, almost invisible symbol, etched with deliberate precision. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. The discovery of the symbol ignited a new, desperate hope within Elias, transforming his grief into an obsessive quest. He meticulously photographed the intricate etching, enlarging it, dissecting its every curve and line. The symbol, alien and ancient in its design, became the focal point of his existence. Days blurred into nights as he immersed himself in dusty tomes, poring over forgotten languages, ancient mythologies, and esoteric texts he procured from obscure online forums and rare book dealers. His workshop, once a sanctuary of meticulous watchmaking, now resembled an archaeologist's study, littered with maps, charts, and cryptic scribblings. He sought any thread, however slender, that might connect this enigmatic mark to Lily's disappearance. His relentless research eventually led him to the name Dr. Elias, an old reclusive historian rumored to possess an unparalleled, if eccentric, knowledge of forgotten societies and arcane lore. Dr. Elias lived on the fringes of academia, his theories often dismissed as fantastical by mainstream scholars. Elias, however, had long since abandoned the confines of conventional thought. He found Dr. Elias's home nestled deep within a labyrinthine collection of narrow streets, a house as cluttered and mysterious as its occupant. Upon their first meeting, Dr. Elias, a frail man with eyes that held the wisdom of centuries, regarded Elias with a mixture of suspicion and weary indifference, initially dismissing his frantic tale as the ravings of a heartbroken man. The concept of a hidden message on a stopped watch, linked to a child's disappearance, was too outlandish even for his unconventional sensibilities. Undeterred, Elias carefully presented the silver pocket watch, its hands frozen at 3:17 p.m. He recounted Lily's vibrant spirit, the joy of their last picnic, the agonizing moment she vanished, and the subsequent fruitless investigation. He then pointed to the subtle, almost invisible symbol etched near the engraving. As Dr. Elias peered through his thick spectacles, his brow furrowed. A flicker of recognition, then astonishment, crossed his aged features. The historian's initial skepticism dissolved, replaced by a profound, almost reverent awe. This is impossible," Dr. Elias whispered, his voice raspy with disbelief. He recognized the symbol. It belonged to the Chronos Keepers, a secret society thought to have vanished centuries ago, their existence relegated to the realm of myth and cautionary tales. The Chronos Keepers, Dr. Elias explained, were not driven by malice, but by a profoundly misguided belief in manipulating the very fabric of time. They sought to achieve a state of perfection by altering historical events, believing they could guide humanity towards an idealized future. Their most audacious pursuit, a legendary endeavor, involved the creation of a temporal displacement device capable of shifting individuals or even entire moments across the temporal continuum. Dr. Elias revealed that the society was believed to be utterly extinct, their dangerous practices having led to their own undoing. He spoke of ancient texts that hinted at the catastrophic consequences of their meddling with time, of experiments gone awry, and of the society's eventual dissolution into fragmented, forgotten knowledge. Yet the symbol on Elias's watch was undeniable proof that some vestige of their legacy, or perhaps even their presence, endured. A chilling realization began to dawn on Elias. Could Lily have been caught in the wake of such a device? Was her disappearance not a kidnapping, but a temporal displacement? Driven by this new, terrifying possibility, Dr. Elias led Elias to a hidden chamber within his archives, a vault filled with forbidden texts and ancient artifacts. There, amidst a chaotic jumble of scrolls and maps, Dr. Elias unearthed an old faded parchment. It was an ancient map, its edges brittle with age, covered in symbols strikingly similar to the one on the watch. The map, intricately detailed, pointed to a forgotten, overgrown estate on the outskirts of town, a place whispered about in local folklore, rumored to be cursed and abandoned for generations. As Elias's hopes surged, Dr. Elias's countenance grew grave. He placed a trembling hand on Elias's arm, his eyes filled with a somber warning. "Elias," he began, his voice barely above a whisper, "the Chronos Keepers' legacy is fraught with peril. Their pursuit of perfection often led to unspeakable dangers. You must understand, uncovering their secrets could unleash forces far beyond our comprehension. This path you embark upon, it is not merely a search for a lost child. It is a journey into the heart of time itself, and the consequences could be devastating for us all." The weight of his words hung heavy in the air, a stark counterpoint to the fragile hope that had just begun to bloom in Elias's heart. The overgrown estate loomed before Elias and Dr. Elias, a skeletal silhouette against the bruised afternoon sky. Locals whispered of its cursed grounds, of shadows that danced in empty windows, and of an oppressive silence that swallowed all sound. Yet to Elias it was a beacon, a morbid promise of answers. The air grew heavy with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves as they pushed through the encroaching brambles, Dr. Eris leading the way with an unnerving familiarity. After what felt like an eternity of navigating the dense, tangled wilderness, they discovered it, a cleverly concealed entrance, almost swallowed by a thicket of ivy and gnarled roots. It was an old, heavy wooden door, reinforced with iron bands, bearing faint, faded carvings that mirrored the symbol on Elias's watch. With a collective effort, they forced the ancient portal open, revealing a gaping maw of darkness. A cold, musty draft exhaled from within, carrying the faint scent of ozone and something metallic. Descending a winding stone staircase, their flashlights cut through the gloom, illuminating a sprawling underground complex. The air grew colder, the silence more profound, broken only by the rhythmic drip of water somewhere in the distance. This was no mere cellar. It was an intricate labyrinth of chambers and corridors, a subterranean world meticulously carved beneath the earth. Remnants of the Chronos Keepers' forbidden experiments lay scattered about. Strange, intricate machinery, its purpose arcane and unsettling. Cryptic writings etched into the cold stone walls, indecipherable to Elias but studied with intense focus by Dr. Eris. Glass vials, filled with desiccated, unidentifiable substances, lay shattered on work tables, alongside diagrams of celestial alignments and temporal mechanics. In one dimly lit chamber, tucked away on a dusty shelf, Elias's gaze fell upon a leather-bound journal. Its cover was worn smooth, its pages brittle with age, yet it exuded an undeniable aura of significance. He carefully opened it, and as his eyes scanned the elegant looping script, a chilling narrative began to unfold. This was the personal account of a disillusioned keeper, a man who had once believed in the society's ideals but had grown horrified by their increasingly reckless pursuits. The journal detailed the inner workings of the Chronos Keepers, but more importantly, it revealed the existence of a rogue faction. This splinter group, led by a former colleague of Dr. Eris, sought to pervert the society's noble aims. They craved power, not perfection, and intended to harness the temporal displacement device for their own personal gain, to rewrite history for profit, for influence, for ultimate control. Elias's heart pounded as he read the name of their leader. Marcus. The name struck him like a physical blow. Marcus, his old friend, a man he had trusted, a man who had often shown an unusual, almost unsettling interest in Lily's precocious intelligence and boundless curiosity. The revelation was a betrayal that twisted Elias's gut, a bitter taste in his mouth. The journal continued, describing a catastrophic, failed experiment. It spoke of an accidental temporal displacement, a mishap that had gone horribly wrong. The experiment's original target, it clarified, was not a person, but a specific moment in the past, a pivotal historical event they hoped to subtly alter. The unintended consequence, however, was a temporal ripple, a destabilization that inadvertently swept an innocent bystander into the currents of time. A wave of nausea washed over Elias. He knew with a certainty that transcended logic that the bystander was Lily. His eyes fell back to the watch in his hand, the subtle scratch on its casing. He remembered how insignificant it had seemed initially. Now, armed with the journal's revelations, a new understanding dawned. The scratch wasn't accidental. It was a coded message left by Lily in a moment of desperate ingenuity, a plea for help etched into the only object she knew would eventually return to her father. With trembling fingers, he traced the faint lines, his mind racing, connecting the patterns to the Chronos Keepers' arcane symbols he had studied. As he deciphered the intricate sequence, a date emerged, stark and clear, followed by a single heart-wrenching word: help. The journal, in its final, chilling entries, hinted at a way to reverse the displacement, to bring back those lost in time. But the words were shrouded in dire warnings, speaking of immense sacrifice and terrible, unforeseen costs. The path to Lily's rescue, it seemed, was paved with an agonizing choice: a price yet to be fully revealed. The air grew thick with anticipation as Elias and Dr. Eris pushed deeper into the labyrinthine complex, guided by the journal's cryptic maps. They finally emerged into a vast cavernous chamber, its ceiling soaring high above, lost in perpetual shadow. In the center of this immense space, bathed in an eerie, pulsating blue light, stood the temporal displacement device. It was a colossal contraption of polished brass and gleaming crystal, intricate gears whirring softly, interwoven with conduits that pulsed with contained energy. However, it was clear the device was not fully operational. Sections of its crystalline structure were fractured, and some brass components were visibly warped, suggesting a past trauma. Energy readings flickered erratically across a bank of ancient dials, a testament to its partial damage. Evidence of Marcus's recent presence was undeniable. Tools lay scattered on a nearby workbench. Blueprints for complex modifications were tacked to a stone pillar, and fresh scorch marks marred the floor around the device. He had been attempting to reactivate it, meticulously trying to mend the very damage he had likely caused. Dr. Eris, his face a mask of awe and apprehension, explained the device's immense power, its capacity to rend the fabric of time itself, and the catastrophic risks associated with its misuse. "This isn't merely a machine, Elias," he whispered, his voice tinged with reverence and fear. "It's a gateway, and opening it without absolute precision could unravel everything." Yet, Elias's resolve only hardened. The sight of the device, the very instrument of Lily's disappearance, now represented his only hope. He would use it. He would bring his daughter back, no matter what sacrifice it demanded, no matter the cost to himself or to the delicate balance of time. His determination burned fiercely, eclipsing any fear. Together, they meticulously deciphered the coded message from Lily, comparing it with the journal's diagrams and the device's complex calibration charts. The message, heartbreakingly clear, indicated she was indeed trapped in a specific historical period, a century in the past, a vibrant era of burgeoning industry and bustling marketplaces. The journal also detailed the intricate steps required to calibrate the device, a process fraught with peril, warning of irreversible consequences if even a single parameter was miscalculated. Each instruction was a tightrope walk over an abyss of temporal paradox. Suddenly, a piercing, discordant alarm blared through the cavern, echoing off the stone walls and shattering the fragile calm. The sound was raw, metallic, signaling an intruder, a presence that had bypassed their carefully laid traps and wards. Elias's heart leaped into his throat, a primal instinct screaming danger. Before they could react, a figure emerged from the shadows at the far end of the chamber, stepping into the pulsating blue light. It was Marcus. His eyes, once warm and friendly, now held a chilling glint of fanaticism, a distorted vision of purpose. "Elias," Marcus greeted, his voice calm, almost serene, a stark contrast to the blaring alarm. "I knew you would find your way here. I knew you would understand." He moved with an unsettling confidence, his gaze sweeping over the damaged device, then settling on Elias with an almost paternalistic intensity. Marcus then began to reveal his twisted motivations, his words dripping with a chilling conviction. He believed he could harness Lily's unique intellect, her insatiable curiosity, her innate understanding of complex systems, to perfect the temporal displacement device. He saw her not as a child, but as a crucial component, a living key to unlocking the device's true potential. "She is special, Elias," Marcus proclaimed, a strange reverence in his tone. "Her mind is a gift I intend to fully utilize." He confessed to orchestrating Lily's disappearance, not as an act of malice, but as a calculated rescue, believing he was liberating her from a mundane existence, guiding her towards a destiny only he could envision. He spoke of her training in the past, of preparing her for her ultimate role. As Elias reeled from this horrific admission, Marcus's composure abruptly fractured. His eyes darted to the device, then to the alarm panel. A flicker of panic crossed his face. With a sudden, desperate lunge, he activated a hidden sequence on a console near the device. A new, ominous hum resonated through the chamber, and a countdown timer flashed red on a small screen. "If I cannot have it," Marcus snarled, his voice laced with venom, "then no one will. This device, and you with it, will be erased from time itself." The self-destruct sequence had begun. The air crackled with raw energy as Elias, propelled by a primal surge of fury and despair, launched himself at Marcus. His hands, usually deft with delicate watch mechanisms, balled into fists, striking with a force born of a father's desperate love. Marcus, surprised by the ferocity, stumbled back, his serene facade shattering into a mask of frantic evasion. The chamber became a whirlwind of motion, the pulsating blue light of the device casting grotesque dancing shadows on the ancient walls. Elias fought with a single burning purpose: to protect the device, to save his daughter, to make Marcus pay for his monstrous betrayal. Each blow was a testament to years of suppressed grief, now unleashed with unbridled power. Dr. Elias, his face etched with grim determination, disregarded the chaotic struggle and scrambled towards the control panel, his nimble fingers flying across the arcane symbols and flickering displays. He worked with a frantic intensity, muttering ancient incantations and technical jargon in equal measure, desperately trying to override the self-destruct sequence Marcus had initiated. The countdown timer, a malevolent red glow, mocked their efforts, ticking away precious seconds. The entire structure trembled, groaning under the strain, threatening to collapse into a temporal abyss. Marcus, realizing he was outmatched by Elias's sheer emotional force, twisted free from a powerful grasp, his eyes darting wildly for an escape. He knew the complex better than anyone, and a hidden passage, long forgotten by most, beckoned from the shadowed corner of the chamber. He darted towards it, a desperate, cowardly retreat. But Elias, his senses sharpened by adrenaline, anticipated the move. He cut off Marcus's path, slamming him against the cold stone wall, pinning him with an unyielding grip. "Where is she, Marcus?" Elias demanded, his voice a low growl, vibrating with barely contained rage. "Tell me exactly where Lily is in time." A sneer twisted Marcus's lips, a final act of defiance. "You fool," he coughed, a malicious glint in his eyes. "Even if you stop this, your calculations are flawed. The device, it's imperfect. The temporal coordinates are never precise. She's not exactly where you think she is. There's always a slight shift, a ripple in the fabric. You'll miss her. You'll always miss her." His words were a venomous parting shot, designed to inject a fresh wave of doubt and despair into Elias's heart. Just then, a triumphant cry erupted from Dr. Elias. "I've done it, Elias. The self-destruct is disarmed." He slumped against the console, sweat beading on his brow, but his relief was short-lived. The device, though no longer counting down to its destruction, remained unstable, its energy readings fluctuating wildly, like a feverish patient. The hum grew louder, more erratic, hinting at the immense strain it had endured. Elias, momentarily stunned by Marcus's revelation about the temporal flaw, looked from the defeated man to the unstable device. There was no time for hesitation, no time for further calibration. Marcus's words, though cruel, had provided a critical piece of information: the slight shift. He had to account for it, had to gamble on its magnitude. He released Marcus, who crumpled to the floor, defeated. With a desperate, gut-wrenching decision, Elias pivoted towards the control panel, his mind racing, incorporating Marcus's malicious clue into the already complex calculations. He adjusted the coordinates, adding a minute, almost imperceptible correction, a leap of faith based on a madman's taunt. He knew this was it. His one chance. He might not return. He might be lost in the currents of time forever. But Lily was out there. With a deep, shuddering breath, Elias pressed the activation sequence. The device roared to life with a deafening crescendo, its blue light intensifying, swirling into a blinding vortex of pure energy. The chamber was engulfed in a brilliant, ethereal glow, pushing back the shadows, revealing every intricate detail of the ancient stonework, every crack in the crystal. A powerful vacuum sensation pulled at Elias, threatening to tear him apart. He braced himself, his eyes fixed on the swirling portal. "Elias!" Dr. Eris cried out, his voice barely audible above the rising tempest of energy. "Be careful, the device is unstable." But Elias didn't hear him. His gaze was already fixed beyond, on a future that held his daughter. He stepped forward, a solitary figure against the overwhelming force of the temporal anomaly, disappearing into the heart of the swirling vortex, leaving Dr. Eris behind, alone to face the consequences of their desperate gamble. The chamber pulsed once more, then the light subsided, leaving behind only the echoing silence and the lingering scent of ozone. Elias found himself disoriented, the roar of the temporal vortex replaced by a cacophony of human voices and the clatter of horse-drawn carriages. The air, thick with the scent of wood smoke and something vaguely metallic, felt heavier, the light softer, filtered through a haze he couldn't immediately identify. He stood in the midst of a bustling marketplace, a vivid tapestry of sights and sounds that screamed past. Women in long skirts haggled over produce, men in bowler hats strode purposefully, and children, their faces smudged with dirt, chased each other through the throngs. He was a century in the past, exactly as Marcus's taunt had suggested, a slight, almost imperceptible shift from his original calculations. His eyes, trained by years of meticulous observation, scanned the crowd with an urgency that belied his calm exterior. He didn't know what Lily would look like now, how time might have shaped her, but a father's instinct, sharpened by years of relentless searching, guided him. And then he saw her. Not a child, but a young woman, perhaps 20 years old, her hair tied back simply, her hands deftly arranging flowers at a stall. There was a familiar grace in her movements, a spark of intelligence in her eyes that was unmistakably Lily. His heart, which had been a leaden weight for so long, soared with a fragile soaring hope. He approached her, his steps hesitant, a tremor running through him. "Lily?" he whispered, his voice hoarse with emotion. She looked up, her expression a mixture of mild annoyance at the interruption and polite inquiry. There was no recognition, no flicker of memory in her gaze. "Can I help you, sir?" she asked, her voice clear and kind, yet utterly devoid of the warmth he remembered. A wave of despair threatened to engulf him, but he pushed it back. This was expected. This was the consequence of the displacement. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the stopped pocket watch, its silver casing gleaming dully in the afternoon sun. He held it out to her, his hand trembling slightly. "This," he began, his voice gaining strength. "This was yours. A gift for your 10th birthday. It has your name and a message engraved on the back." He turned it over, revealing the delicate script. "To my bright star, always shining." Lily took the watch, her brow furrowing slightly as her fingers traced the familiar contours. A strange, almost imperceptible tremor ran through her. I don't remember this," she said, but her voice now held a note of uncertainty, a nascent curiosity. Elias began to tell her their story, painting vivid pictures of their life together, of the picnic in the meadow, of her boundless curiosity, of the day she disappeared. He spoke of his relentless search, of the watch as his anchor, his unwavering belief that he would find her. As he spoke, a flicker of recognition began to dance in Lily's eyes, a faint, almost imperceptible light. She touched the watch again, her thumb brushing over the engraving. A tear, unbidden, traced a path down her cheek. "The swing," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "We had a swing, in the old oak tree." Elias nodded, tears streaming down his own face. The dam had broken, memories, long dormant, surged forth, overwhelming her with their vividness. She collapsed into his arms, a torrent of sobs racking her body. An emotional reunion that transcended time and displacement. They spent hours talking, Lily piecing together her fragmented past, Elias filling in the gaps of her lost years. She spoke of a life she had made, of friends, of a quiet contentment, but also of a persistent, inexplicable longing, a feeling of something missing. Elias offered her a choice, to return to their original time, to the life that was stolen, or to remain in this new existence she had built. Lily, having experienced both the profound loss and the unexpected solace of a different life, looked at the watch, then at her father. "I want to go home," she said, her voice firm, resolute, "with you." Together they found a quiet spot away from the bustling market, and Elias, with Lily's help, activated the temporal displacement device. This time there was no fear, only a shared purpose, a journey back to where they belonged. The blue light enveloped them, a gentle hum guiding them home. They reappeared in the underground chamber, the air still thick with the scent of ozone. Dr. Aris, looking haggard but relieved, rushed towards them, his face creased with a mixture of worry and joy. "Elias, Lily, you did it," he exclaimed, his voice cracking with emotion. News of Marcus's apprehension had already reached him. The rogue keeper was now facing justice for his crimes, his twisted ambitions brought to an end. Elias, no longer haunted by the past, found a profound peace he hadn't known in years. His purpose, once singular and desperate, was now shared. The watch, once a symbol of agonizing loss and a relentless quest, now rested in Lily's hand, its hands moving forward, ticking steadily, a testament to their enduring bond, a symbol of a new beginning. Together, father and daughter, they looked at the mended watch, its quiet rhythm a promise of all the moments yet to come.